With Challenger World quickly approaching, many players this time around will be burning the brand new Anima Warrior Ren. However, for those of you looking for something a little bit different, I have 10 classes for you, 5 of the laziest, most efficient mobbers you will ever find among these 50 classes, and 5 of the most dexterity impaired friendly bossers that you could possibly imagine. No matter which category you want to focus on, all 10 of these classes will excel at both, and I handpicked them based on not only their past track record, but also based on changes they have recently gotten and will be getting in the near future. So let's kick things off with the bossers. And spearheading that list is of course going to be the Bowmaster. It is nearly impossible and almost disingenuous to make a list recommending good bossers and not mention Bowmaster. I would even go as far as to say Bowmaster is basically the best class in the game. No, that doesn't always mean they're doing the most damage, but in terms of how easy they are to play and how much utility they have to dance around every boss and make a fool of them, Bowmaster is pretty much unrivaled. They have the best lifesteal in the entire game on demand with no cooldown. They even arguably have the best cheat death should all of their many other tools for survivability somehow fail them. And it's automatic, recharges automatically, it's just a toggle you turn on. Having a hurricane attack, they are one of the most mobile attackers in the game, meaning you can stop your attack at any moment and just duck, jump, whatever you need to do. Bowmasters are incredibly nimble in a moment-to-moment basis. Do you want to instead get a little bit creative with how you dodge things? Well, use Bowmaster's teleporter. Maybe do some flips in the air, maybe stall in the air for a little bit, and if all that somehow wasn't enough to entice you, Bowmaster is even getting an iframe in like 6 months. They don't need it, they don't deserve it, but they're getting it anyway. And don't worry, it's not over yet, because on top of being one of the best bossers in the game, one of the easiest bossers in the game, Bowmaster is also one of the best and laziest mobbers in the game. With their Summon Arrow Blaster and even just a level 1 Soul Janus set to the auto map wiper version, they can basically waltz into any map at any point past level 200 and fully clear it with some sort of setup of their various tools. Next bosser on the list is Buccaneer. Just like Bowmaster, it is almost impossible to not mention Buccaneer, and there's a reason why it shows up on pretty much everybody's list like this. The class is incredibly stacked, like it honestly has way too much going for it. I'm even going to make the slightly not so bold claim that Buccaneer is the most mobile class in the game, so if you like really fast, speedy classes with honestly way too many mobility options that will practically leave you with analysis paralysis, then Buccaneer is the class for you. You will be dancing around every single boss, leaving them wondering where the hell you're going to be next, and the answer is everywhere. Their super jump, which utilizes a special interaction with their ground dash mechanic, is obviously so iconic that pretty much everybody knows when a Buccaneer is in a Genesis, because they see them flying around the sky. That, however, is just Buccaneer's flashiest form of mobility. While their burst is active, they also have access to a teleport that is extremely long range, a 5th job charge-based skill that allows them to dash diagonally, a flash jump, their ground-based dash, which can do many other things other than just, do their super jump, and they have a rush that goes above and beyond and also acts as an enemy-based teleport, which can be incredibly fun. It's honestly downright stupid and borderline unethical how many mobility options Buccaneer has and just how good almost every single one of them is individually. It comes together as one obscene package that makes Buccaneer one of the most fun and exciting classes to play, and also just one of the best, because it doesn't end there with their mobility. For the rare opportunities their insane mobility does fail you, which is pretty much always just going to be user error, they are also stupidly tanky. They have a passive shield that acts as a very large source of percent HP damage reduction that just triggers automatically on a relatively low cooldown. This can actually be pretty reliable given that you need to attack to activate it. So if you ever anticipate a moment where you are going to need it, you just need to lay off the boss for a little bit and you'll have it when you want it. It has a little cherry on top for the survivability. They also have passive HP regeneration. It's nothing insane, but any amount can really make quite a big difference, especially in boss fights like Will or any chip damage reliant fight. There's so much more I could say about Buccaneer. They are an easy class to play, but they also have a lot of little tricks and stuff that you can master that make them a lot more intricate. But for brevity's sake, I'm going to end the bossing talk there because I think I've sold Buccaneer well enough already. But for their mobbing, they're not exactly going to shatter any records here, but roll the dice will allow them to at least earn a little bit more experience than everyone else, and Lord of the Deep is a very fun way to mob. It can utilize both versions of Soul Janus, and with active mobbing with their super jump, you can actually clear maps quite effectively. It is just going to take a little bit more activity than some of the other mobbers on this list, especially the grinding specialists. Next up is the Mihile class, one of the most famous classes, or possibly even infamous if you ask some people, for how ridiculously difficult they can be to kill. As it turns out, when you're invincible for 2/3 of the time, it's a little hard to die. If you somehow have no familiarity with the Mihile class, its bread and butter is a parry mechanic. They are the only one in the game that has one to this degree. Basically, you activate it and within a short window, a mob hits you and you gain invincibility for 4 seconds. This downright overpowered ability has a minimal cooldown of just 6 seconds. And not only that, it hits ridiculously hard for how low of a cooldown it is and with the utility it provides, but it's also a map wiper when it's stacked up fully. Royal Guard really is the only thing you need to sell the Mihile class to somebody, but if that wasn't enough for you, they are also passively just like a Paladin. If you didn't know, Paladins have a passive % HP damage reduction that Mihile also enjoys as long as they have parried recently. So in the case that you do fail your parry, which will happen, Mihile is not quite as brain dead as some people think it is, you do have that safety net to fall back on that will allow you to survive a lot of attacks. And if for some reason their stupid survivability is not enough to entice you, Mihile is also kind of a support class. Their support capabilities aren't anything crazy, you're not a bishop or a Lin, but every time you successfully parry, you will be giving all your allies a small shield. It's nothing crazy, but any kind of shield can allow you to survive a 100% HP attack, and also you can put down a giant shield on everybody every 60 seconds. It is honestly a phenomenally well-rounded class, with the only real downside of the Mihile class is they typically reside on the lower end of the DPM charts, but I think anyone could agree that they don't exactly deserve to be one of the strongest classes in the game, but you will still find a very respectable bossing experience, and if you're somebody who has trouble with mechanics, well, Mihile can help you ignore a lot of them. Now, as far as the mobbing side goes, warriors don't typically end up being the greatest of mobbers in the average case, but Mihile actually has a very good kit for just good grinding. They have a lot of low cooldown map wipers, including their Royal Guard, as well as 2 of their other 5th job abilities that are low cooldown map wipers, but they also have Install Shield, one of the better summons in the game for mobbing due to its somewhat unique property of being able to be cast mid-air. This means that it can often be more effective than very similarly ranged summons thanks to the fact that mid-air placement can mean it can reach more targets than things that are guaranteed going to be placed in the same spot every time on the ground. Once again, it's not going to be the most lazy mobber in the game, given that with like 5 to 10 second cooldowns, you're going to be a little bit more active, but considering they can still be very effective in a lot of different maps, it's a good trade-off, especially when you look at how good their bossing side is. And it just so happens that if Mihile's unconventional upjump was a little bit of a deal breaker for you, they aren't getting their real upjump this patch, I don't think, but they will be getting it somewhat shortly in like the next 6 months. I don't remember exactly when, but they're getting it. Just like Paladin is as well. Other Explorer Warriors are as well, but we're going to talk about Paladin. Paladin is my next bosser pick. Just like Mihile, Paladin is an excruciatingly difficult class to kill. Their passive % HP damage reduction is an amazing utility to have. And in moments where that is perhaps being pressured a little bit too much, Paladin actually has a heal on command. It may not be as good as Bishop's is, but it is still going to be a very nice tool to have, especially in chip damage fights or perhaps when you just feel like face tanking a lot. Paladin, in my opinion, is one of the classes that benefited from the 3-minute to 2-minute burst class changes the most, given how fun their Grand Cross ability is. Well, it's actually called Grand Guardian, but I always call it Grand Cross. It's a big old cross. You hold the button down, it does a ton of damage. It is obscenely fun to use. And with the boss cooldown prep changes that we should be getting, they will be able to do this to a lot of bosses when you're doing a boss muling-like experience. It's honestly going to be very fun. Other than that though, Paladin does have one of the most versatile iframes in the game. Sacrosanctity can be a 30-second or 40-second long iframe. I don't remember exactly which. I checked, it's 30 seconds, and if you end it early, you get refunded a cooldown based on how much duration it had left. This makes it incredibly flexible, and just once again, the cooldown resetting is going to make this ability even better. You're potentially going to be invincible for just every boss in a boss mule-like scenario. Just like Mihile, they also have supportive capabilities. They can resurrect teammates. They can give one person a really strong buff. They can also just, give everyone real combat orders, which I think we're getting a boss elixir, like the collector's elixirs that are going to be doing that as well now, but hey, I mean, it's still something. And as for the mobbing side, they succeed in many of the same ways that Mihile does, except instead of summons, they get even more low cooldown and more effective map wipers. They may rely on Hexa upgrades a little bit more more than Mihile does, but given all the fragments you're going to get on Challenges World, if you choose to go over there, that really shouldn't be a problem, and you will get to experience, honestly, the really crazy mobbing experience that Paladin can offer that is a little bit counter to how most warriors usually grind. Their low mobility usually ends up being a little bit more of a crutch, but Paladin can often just stand still in a lot of maps thanks to Soul Janus and the ridiculous range map wipers. And finally, for the bossing recommendations is Dualblader, one of those classes that just keeps on winning and winning patch after patch in small ways. I find these days Dualblader doesn't get talked about nearly as much as it should. A lot of the good things you can say about Bowmaster, you can also say about Dualblader. They have a kit that is honestly quite stacked in terms of utility. So let's start off with one of the most notable things about Dualbladers. They have a stupid amount of iframes and now percent HP damage reduction attacks. Starting with the iframes, they have Final Cut, which is a 63-second cooldown, and Chains of Hell, which is a 45-second cooldown. Both of these are resettable with cooldown reset chance, which is something Dualbladers go for in their inner ability. And they have two key down/channeled attacks that offer a large chunk of percent HP damage reduction, Azura's Anger and Blade Storm. These are also both 60-second cooldowns. That alone is already a lot, and a lot more than most other classes have, but being a thief, Dualblader also has exceptional mobility. They may not have anything crazy like Buccaneer has, but they do still have some very good tools, including their double flash jump that is, most thieves have something like this. They have a secondary up jump that can be exceptional at dodging various boss mechanics and can allow them to stall in mid-air for honestly quite a lot of time. They also have passive lifesteal, which may not be as consistent as Bowmaster's, but it is in huge chunks on a percent chance on each hit, which with Dualblader honestly happens a lot. And of course, being a thief, that also means Dualblader has access to Dark Sight, one of the best bossing tools in the entire game. And if you're interested in learning the full effectiveness of what it can do, I encourage you to join one of the many discords of various thieves that all have Dark Sight. They will undoubtedly have a lot of information for you. And if you're somebody who likes playing a class that has a lot of buttons to press during bossing and doesn't just spam the same old attack over and over again, Dualblader is one of the better classes for that without getting to the ridiculous levels of classes like Mercedes, Blaster, and stuff like that. Something also worth mentioning, particularly for Challenges World or newer and returning players, is Dualblader has a lot of crit rate and ignore enemy defense built into their kit, meaning they are ideal low funding or low legion bossing mules, which of course is something you are going to be in Challenger World. Now, as far as the mobbing side of Dualblader, they are very similar to Mihile and Paladin. They mostly function on a lot of rotating low cooldown map wipers. You're going to be a little bit more active than the average class, but you will be effective. Nothing crazy, but they will get the job done. Now, spearheading the mobbing side of this list is Demon Slayer. One of my personal favorite classes in this game, Demon Slayer is an insane mobber. They have so many different ways they can mob. Not only do they have the lowest cooldown, most effective map wiper in the game with Hexa Demon Cry, but they have a method that even surpasses that makes people not even use that ability, which is insane. Most other classes would kill for that, but TP farming is one of the most infamous farming methods in the game, and it's probably the biggest reason why there are so many Demon Slayers. It is without a doubt, with no competition, the laziest, lowest action per minute farming method in the game. When you set it up properly, you simply hold down one button and you will automatically teleport to everything that is alive, spamming your AoE attack all the while, killing almost everything. It is one of the most effective ways to clear a map without really even paying attention. It also has the added benefit of not really needing a vac pet. Due to the teleporting nature of this, just teleporting to anything and everything, you will eventually visit every platform and allow pets with the proper pet skills to loot almost everything. If you're not paying attention, some things will disappear, but it is like 80 or 90% effective or something like that. And it really is stupidly effective for how lazy it is. However, Demon Slayer is not only a great and lazy mobber, they are also phenomenal bossers. While their DPM, as far as KMS goes, may not be what it once was, they still have stupid utility, including passive lifesteal, low cooldown iframes that can be cooldown reset just like Dualblader, but they also have the infamous glide ability, which is hated by many but beloved by everybody who actually gives Demon Slayer a chance. Glide is ridiculously good, and once you love it and get used to it, you'll wish everybody had it. And if you never get your hands on a Ruin Force shield, which if you're playing a Demon Slayer you should hope that you do, but for as long as you don't, you're going to be one of the hardest to kill bosses in the game. And just like Dualblader, Demon Slayer also comes baked in with a shitload of crit rate and ignore enemy defense on many of their attacks, making them tremendous in the early game regardless of what any current balance says. They are an incredibly strong class, and you really cannot go wrong with a Demon Slayer. Next up is Battle Mage. Hear me out. Don't leave. I promise you're going to want to hear this. Battle Mage is one of the most criminally misunderstood classes in this game. So many people have the idea that they are still worthless. And I mean, when you look at the patch notes and you just see nerf after nerf, it's easy to understand why people think that way. But let me show you something. This is the 5th job Battle Mage skill, Altar of Annihilation. This thing is a summon with no cooldown, no requirement to be placed down, a 40-second duration, and it spams a gigantic map wiper pretty much like every second. This thing is without a doubt one of the most broken mobbing skills in this entire game. A skill that this replaced not too long ago was already amazing and hailed as one of the best mobbing skills or summons in the game, but this thing is stupid. There are so many maps that this thing can basically solo with literally no other help from the Battle Mage itself. They may not always be the best maps in the game, but you will literally be full clearing those maps with this thing. It's crazy. And imagine actually putting in a little bit of effort and helping this thing out, which they can do pretty goddamn well. Not only does Battle Mage just have arguably the best teleport in the game, but they also have Dark Genesis and Sweeping Staff, to low cooldown map wiper-ish abilities. But they also have 5th job abilities that are meant to be boss and cooldowns that double as really amazing mobbing skills, very similarly to what you might see from a Dawn Warrior with Eclipse and their big old Blade of Death. But as many people may know, that is not the main appeal to Battle Mage. Battle Mage is still a competent support. Are they as good as Lyn, Bishop, and maybe even Kana? No, not typically, and that's why they generally get overshadowed or overlooked in GMS, but they still offer support, some really impressive utility. They got Party Shield to help keep people alive. They can debuff the boss. They can give everybody one of their auras to give them a little bit more damage. And on top of that, with their flexible teleport that, as I said, is one of the best in the entire game, if not the best, they are exceptional at keeping themselves alive and playing in a way that literally no other class can do. Battle Mage is a phenomenally unique class that can be a blast to play if you give it a chance. Will it be topping the charts? No. But I would also argue that with all the other stuff that Battle Mage has to offer, it doesn't exactly deserve to be doing a ton of damage, as nice as that would be. But I promise you, if you want some lazy grinding, that Battle Mage is going to be an exceptional pick for you, and one that you're probably not going to hear many other people recommend. And speaking of supports, next we have Bishop. Now, of course, this is on the grinding side, and the most obvious thing here is they have Real Holy Symbol. It may not be the biggest EXP gain in the world, but when you're looking at grinding hours a day, every little bit can count, and having Real Holy Symbol is kind of a big deal. It also means you get to save on a ton of nodes by not spamming a bunch into decent Holy Symbol. With their hyper skills, they do also get bonus drop rate thanks to that Holy Symbol, which when you're fighting for drops in Challenger World, that is a huge deal. But let's talk about how they actually grind. Unfortunately, I don't have a fully fleshed out Bishop to show you, but I can tell you from watching others, Bishop is, before Soul Janus existed, Bishop was without a doubt one of the best mobbers in the game thanks to their ludicrous kit that just makes them very effective. Big Bang is already a really good spam attack that, as a mage, can be jump casted, which is very rare, but they also have these little holy feathers that seek things out very similarly to Nightwalker Bats or Shadow or Meso Explosion, which are very good mechanics for killing stragglers. And they also have their own class-based deployable summon, which is very much a trademark of many of the best mobbers in the game. They really just have a little bit of everything that makes them phenomenal at mobbing, and if you want to just grind your ass off, Bishop is going to be one of the better classes you can pick, but of course you're going to get so much more than that. Bishop is obviously one of the best supports in the game, offering a stupid amount of utility that I'm not going to bother mentioning everything, but they can heal. They can even lifesteal/heal with their main bossing attack. You don't even have to spam the actual heal skill. They got buffs like Real Blessing, which once again is going to be kind of replaced with a Collector's Elixir, but still something. They got Benediction, they got Dispel, just all kinds of stuff that makes them extremely appealing to be in a party. And if, like me, Infinity was something that scared you off, to the dismay of many mages who enjoyed this mechanic, Infinity is going to be turned into a passive, and mages are no longer going to have this like forethought or planning be part of their bossing. I can feel for those who don't like that this is happening and they might feel like it's homogenization, but to me it was a really divisive skill that would have prevented me from recommending mages to people, because it was just like it's not for everybody. And while it may not be happening right now, if it's something that was stopping you from playing mages, it is going to be happening down the road, and you'll have it in time for the next major patch or whatever, when that mage buff will have already happened. Which is also why my next recommendation is Ice Lightning Mage. Now, this class has always had a reputation for being really good at mobbing, but I always found that that reputation wasn't as true as people thought it was, until 6th Job came out and they got Hexa Frozen Orb. Hexa Frozen Orb is really one of the only abilities that I would accept as a contender for the best mobbing skill in the game, next to Battle Mage's Altar of Annihilation. This skill is honestly so stupid and is probably one of the biggest Hexa upgrades out of everybody. It goes from being this tiny little ability that was really only kind of okay for mobbing to being pretty much the only skill they need to press. The only real reason that I give the edge to Altar of Annihilation from Battle Mage is because you only need to press that ability every 40 seconds, whereas Hexa Frozen Orb, it's like a 5-second cooldown, so it's going to be a little bit more active. But you could literally just stand in one spot and hold that button down, and it's going to do well enough. And of course, just like Battle Mage, they also have a stacked ass kit that they could just ignore, or you could help your Frozen Orb out by spamming Chain Lightning, or their various map wipers and like cooldowns and bossing abilities that help out with mobbing. They have a lot of options, and it's kind of just crazy. And just like with Bishop, without Infinity to really hold them back, at least in my opinion, I think a lot more people are going to be able to enjoy this class, myself included. Infinity was the entire reason I stopped playing my Ice Lightning Mage, and it really made me sad because otherwise I loved the class. But that one ability really just dragged down the whole experience for me. And speaking of previously difficult to recommend classes, lastly we got Cannon Master, a class that I previously myself hyperburned about a year ago, and I really enjoyed just how insanely effective they were at grinding. They have all the tools you need and more to fully clear any map that you walk into, depending on how much effort you want to put into it. Their kit boasts some of the highest amount of summons in the entire game, even rivaling that of classes like Corsair, and that allows them to pretty much do anything they want. Similarly to classes like Bowmaster or Dawn Warrior, they can rotate in bossing cooldowns to aid their mobbing ability. They don't always need to do it, but can allow you to be lazier for a little bit of time or make your looting phase a little bit easier. Now I need to mention that previously I made an entire video complaining about a lot of things about the Cannon Master class after my own experience hyperburning one. What I can say to that is, in a patch that we are going to be getting in the next 3 months or so, every single thing I addressed and more got fixed or changed in the balance patch. And it's not also as if those things were so egregious that it was impossible to enjoy the class, because many people do, and many people can handle those downsides. But I like that they addressed them, and that Cannon Master was brought into the modern Maple story, losing a lot of the things that made them feel clunky. So now I can feel a lot better recommending them as a class to people, because they are exceptionally fun at both bossing and mobbing. I think it is a really solid class. And of course, one of the best things, monkeys. A lot of monkeys. One of their summons is changing to another kind of monkey, but I really don't have any information on that one. It's a really fun class, and you are going to face some issues. You may not see it as an issue like I did, but there are some things that you probably will notice if you decide to burn them. So I will warn you, but again, if you mostly care about grinding, you will not go wrong with Cannon Master.